few months ago, we began the search for a delicious washed processed coffee from Ethiopia. And after trying many samples, we landed on the newest coffee in our single origin lineup, the new Ethiopia Modor Shantawene. So let's jump into it. We have always had a spot in our hearts for Ethiopian coffee, and that's because it is the de facto coffee taste. If one is more accustomed to what we think of when we think of like coffee flavor, the interesting and complex flavor profile of Ethiopian coffees can sometimes feel a little bit jarring. However, this is the actual original flavor of coffee. And sometimes we think of like Colombia or Guatemalan, some of those origins when we think of coffee. The truth is that coffee really only natively grows in Ethiopia and started to move out of Ethiopia to Yemen and what's current day Indonesia around the 1400s, at least as legend has it. Fast forward to the late 1600s and the early 1700s, and coffee saplings are just starting to hit the Western Hemisphere. So although we all love that coffee flavor from South and Central America, it is a few steps removed from the truest flavor of coffee. And it is that complex, interesting Ethiopian profile that we absolutely love. And this coffee, the specific one, was grown in the Sidama region around the village of Modor. In Ethiopia, most coffee is grown on garden farms rather than large coffee plantations. And it's processed and graded at the closest washing station. So as a result, it can be pretty difficult to get much in the way of specific information beyond maybe like grade or region, processing method, etc. However, we source this a lot from our good friends at Catalyst Trade, who specialize in importing coffee out of Ethiopia. So we have some wonderful photos, we have some better insights and optics into this coffee that's usually unavailable, which is pretty cool to be able to trace things back to a village and a washing station when normally we have to settle for a growing region and a grade. So with that in mind, let's jump into the details on this specific coffee. The origin, as we said, is Ethiopia, and that is the birthplace of coffee. And the farms that this lot was grown at are located around the village of Modor in the Sidama region of Ethiopia. And that's located at an elevation that's about 1,900 to about 2,100 meters above sea level, which is pretty high. And this creates a density to the coffee, which usually translates to a more sophisticated flavor profile with more nuance. And again, due to the garden farm nature of Ethiopian coffee growing, it is comprised of local varieties that are kind of mixed and graded and sorted at the washing station. But the thing that we really fell in love with about this coffee is its flavor profile. So roast-wise, we keep this one pretty light to preserve its delicate acidity. But that being said, it's not a total acid bomb that you often get with like a really light roast coffee. This specific lot seems to be a little more like round and juicy than a lot of the washed grade ones that I've tasted in the past. And to me, that's really the appeal to this coffee. It's complex, it's interesting, but it's still super drinkable. It has a fuller body than one might expect from this origin. And you can really probably land on over 50 unique flavor notes. And it seems like everyone that I've given this coffee out to kind of try and get some feedback on has latched onto different things. But they're not wrong. Actually, everyone's correct. They're just getting a different glimpse into the flavor profile of this coffee based on brew parameters, the specific brewer that they're using, etc. And that's really the fun of this coffee in particular. But we did have to put something on the card, so we landed on apricot, candied citrus, spiced black tea, bergamot, and caramel-like. However, I would really encourage you to all give it a try on the brewer of your choice and play around with the brew profile too to see what you land on. It's been pretty interesting just based off of importer notes, and there's a couple other specialty coffee roasters that have the same coffee, and seeing what they land on for their notes. Like there's certainly a thread through all of it, but everyone's are a little different, and I think that just kind of speaks to the complexity of this coffee. So it's in the catalogs, it should be active here soon, and if you want a sample, just drop us a line, and I hope you all enjoy it as much as we do. Take care.